economic reporter based in Europe. Bill, you think and write about economics all the time. So let me ask you this really deceptively simple question. How do you define or think about affluence today?
So when we talk about affluent, wealthy, influential, people have different definitions. Essentially, it's not necessarily about wealth. It can also be about power. So for instance, if you take a lottery winner can have a lot of money, but most people wouldn't regard them as very influential or elite for that matter. However, a politician or senator not making necessarily that much amount of money in comparison to tech billionaires can still be very influential. So it really depends on who you're asking and what people perceive as being particularly influential, wealthy, affluent.
There's a discussion going on right now about the markers of, I guess, wealth or affluence shifting a bit. I've heard talk about the 9.9%, those who have accumulated wealth in some sort of $1 million or so. There's also an economist out there talking about people who, when they're carrying an NPR bag or designating how they're going to spend their time, that actually is today's marker of affluence. Does that ring true to you, that people are using it differently?
Consumers have very different priorities when it comes to showing or investing their money. Some people, invest more money into the same things that they already like. If you gave me a lot more money, I would just do the same things, just nicer. I wouldn't buy things that I regard as having no value. And on the other side, people also invest money by saving and giving their money to children, sending their children to better schools. So we all have very different priorities. And the essence is more people are wealthier today than of all the times in history. We are all a lot better off. And that's where this diversity comes, where it comes about. In the past we had the aristocracy, and people sort of acted the same because they were a very small elite group. But now we have so many people who have more wealth, and they spend their money different. And that's the diversity we're seeing right now.
Final question here, Bill. If you ask most people, even those who have money, might even rank in the top 10%, most of them say, I am middle class. Do you think that's going to continue into the future, that none of us really feel wealthy? As you say, many Westerners, whether in Europe or the US, are in the top 1% globally, but none of us feel particularly wealthy.
Yes, it's actually true that statistically people, when you poll people, they answer that they're middle class. Even when you narrow it down to upper middle class and lower middle class, people still answer, I'm middle class. So that's a question of perception. The reality lies in the numbers, though. So when I look at the numbers in the United States, it's not, the middle class is indeed disappearing, but not because people are getting poorer, but because they're getting richer. So the people making above $100,000 a year in 2016 dollars is increased. And that's why the middle class is disappearing. So some people always say that they're middle class, but because they go by comparison. But if you look at the statistics as to what we define as middle class, being between $35,000 and $100,000 a year, we actually find that, that group is disappearing, but actually because they're doing better.
Next on The Why, a science degree that's going to make you an expert in all things hops, doing what all of us said we majored in. We're talking about majoring in beer.